Hey everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood Master Allen, and in this video we are going to go through your blue belt animal techniques. Now your 5 blue belt animal techniques are downward tiger, spinning leopard, side crane, side snake, and piercing dragon. I'm going to do each one of them really quickly, one time, so that if you already know these and you just need a little refresher because you got something backwards or you're not sure, you can watch just the beginning part of this video and it'll all be there for you. So let's face it this way. Downward tiger. Yep. Spinning leopard. Side crane. Side snake. And piercing dragon. So let's break these down. We're going to start with downward tiger. Footwork for downward tiger is actually a lot like pouncing tiger. We're going to go back to a cat stance and then forward into a fighting stance. I'm not going to pounce forward the same way. I'm not trying to deliver energy that same direction, but I'm going to go from a cat stance to a fighting stance, which is exactly what we did in pouncing tiger. The range is just going to be different, and the way I want to deliver power with it is going to be different. So let's face this way, because that makes it a little easier to pick this one up. So you're going to step back with your right foot. As I go back, I pull into the cat stance, and at the same time, I'm going to do a downward tiger paw, coming down and across and in. Now, this is a block, but it's also a strike. If I'm able to reach towards the person's head, I want this to hit as it knocks the punch down and across out of the way. And then I'm going to do a second downward tiger paw, and that's also going to strike. And if I need to do this after I've made contact, then I can move the punch wherever I need to so that it's not in my way for the rest of the technique. In a tiger technique, I am not going to take my space around someone for their convenience. I'm going to move and pose them the way that I need to, because I am the tiger. They are lunch. And that's an important aspect of doing your tiger techniques, is having your mindset right. If you're thinking about sort of moving around the person and not wanting to make them uncomfortable, that is the exact opposite of how a tiger is going to behave. We want to draw in the food because it's ours and we are in charge. So, I go back into my cat stance, downward tiger paw with the left hand. So you'll notice that comes off the lead leg, downward tiger paw with the right hand, and then I'm going to go forward to the fighting stance. Now right now this hand is on guard, but on a person I'm probably going to need to be in control of their body in some way with this hand. And then I roundhouse tiger paw, and that ends the technique. So again, I go back to the cat, left, right, forward, left. All right? Now facing up towards me, I'm going to do it facing this way so you get a chance to see the angles on those downward tiger paws, because they don't just come straight down, they come across, but they also come in. So it's this diagonal line that reaches out away from your body and pulls in, and so you want to see sort of the X shape that it makes from this direction as well as from over here. Now I'm going to flip this right left-handed, because for most of you, if you treat the screen like a mirror, then you can kind of reflect me. So this is my right hand, all right? But your left hand is most likely on this side. And so I'm doing this backwards to help you so that you don't have to sit here and do this while you're learning the technique, all right? Start from a horse stance, I go back to my cat, and now the left hand comes down and across. That's a downward tiger paw. So it's out, in, down. And then the other hand, out, in, down. Ready? We go back to the cat, down and across, down and across. Notice my body rotates as I do it. And now I'm going to go forward into that fighting stance. Make sure it's a fighting stance, not a side horse stance. I'm going to point in this direction. Boom. Roundhouse tiger paw. Okay? Knees bent, strong in my feet, powerful on the ground. Ready? Downward tiger. Go. Good. So we've done it this way. You've done it this way, now let's flip it. Ready, downward tiger. And so now, if we're facing the same direction, I don't have to right-left flip it, because you'll be able to sort of stand facing the same way as me. My left hand and your left hand will be on the same thing. Ready, we go back, downward tiger paw, forward, roundhouse tiger paw. Next we got spinning leopard. And so spinning leopard, you're going to start with lightning leopard, and then we're adding an update patch to it. And so this one is probably going to be a little easier to learn if you start facing this way. So everybody face this way with me. Start from horse stance. And so we start with lightning leopard. My right foot goes forward, my left foot turns, and then I'm going to do my 2 leopard paws just like lightning leopard. I want to make sure that I don't throw the leopard paw as my foot's moving away. I want to change the timing so that this hip gets to rotate with this leopard paw. That's going to be a really important aspect to doing the second half of spinning leopard. So if you have been doing lightning leopard, where you hit, see how my hand is going out as my foot's going away? That is an application of lightning leopard that will work if you're having to protect yourself. You don't have to be in a super rooted stance to hit somebody in the throat and have that be effective. But for spinning leopard, if I'm using that timing, it's going to mess up the timing of the next thing I need to do. So let's do this together, and you want to make sure your lightning leopard has this timing before you start really diving into spinning leopard. So we go forward, turn, right, left, my body's rotating forward. Okay? Now, the next part. So we start with lightning leopard, step, turn, leopard, my hips rotate. Now, I'm going to take this elbow forward as the back leg, which is already sort of spring-loaded. It's already coiled because I rotated this hip in. It's ready to take a step. So as this step happens, I do an elbow towards the person's neck. And I can think about that slicing across, but I can also think about that driving through. Now, if you're practicing this with a person, you have to be very careful with this movement because it's got a lot of power. And if you do it correctly, it's not going to take much for that to be really dangerous. So just pay attention to what you're doing. Don't mash anybody in the throat. Ready? Start with lightning leopard, step, turn, 1, 2, and then that step happens and the leopard paw goes forward. And so I'm kind of moving through a side horse stance, but I'm not going to be in this stance very long. I want to make sure my feet don't get too far apart, because if your feet get really far apart, then it's hard to change direction quickly. All right? And so with your leopard techniques, you're very rarely going to end up in a stance where your feet are really far apart, because it's not how leopards like to move for the positioning. All right, so we go in, step, turn, right, left, step, elbow. And now my right foot is going to move, almost like I'm moving through a twist stance, but I spin to then take my left hand again, strike into the back or side of their neck, and then the right hand is going to drive in, and it's the exact same body rotation we used at the beginning of lightning leopard, but now we're doing it left hand, right hand, instead of right hand, left hand, right? So spinning leopard is this. It's almost like the spin is a mirror. And on one side of it, right and left happen in a certain order. And then on the other side of it, the same thing happens with your body and your hands and everything, but it happens in a different order, okay? You'll also notice when you start breaking this down, you've got 3 strikes in a row with the left hand, okay? So I go forward, turn, right, left, towards the mirror, elbow, and then I'm going to take another step towards the mirror, but I turn my back so that I can do left hand, right hand. Now, I'm going to grab my assistant, Bob, so that I can show you the positioning on this so that you can kind of think yourself through it as you practice. So this is my friend Bob. He got So this is Bob. He got Employee of the Month again. And I am 100% not jealous, and I am definitely not about to take it out on him. Now, if I were going to be working on this for myself, I'd pay a little bit more worry to what height Bob was. And so right now I realize it's going to look like I'm picking on somebody that's a lot shorter than me, but I just want you to be able to understand the spacing of the technique. Now, I've got Bob tilted at a slight angle, because when somebody throws a punch, their shoulders don't stay square, like this. Their shoulder rotates into the punch, right? And so I tilt him so that I can kind of think about the spacing in that way. I realize his head's not going to move, and ultimately, since the base is round, it doesn't actually make that much difference. But it helps me as I'm thinking about where the person's shoulders are, because especially if you're dealing with somebody taller than you, it's really important to know or have an idea of where the shoulders are, because it's very easy for them to get in your way of the person's head if you're short. Now, spinning leopard, I start with lightning leopard, step, turn, boom, boom. Okay? This much we know. Now, the elbow is going to happen right from that leopard paw. So, step, turn, right, left, that hip comes forward. Right from here, I'm going to do the elbow. Boom. And now I could be thinking about driving through him on this weak line in his stance, or I could think about this being kind of like a blade, and I slice it across right through the front here. And both of those can be really effective depending on what situation you've got and what makes the most sense. So I've got right, left, and then forward. I break that elbow, and now this hand, it stays right here in front of me, and I'm just going to let it go. But I have to turn my body so that when I let it go, as it sort of slingshots around, I'm pointed in the right direction for this strike to land. So I start here, step, turn, right, left, elbow, turn, left, and then right. I get that same hip and hand movement in my spinning leopard. Thanks, Bob. That's going to get us to side crane. And so, your front crane stance, when you first learned it, a lot of people think about the front crane stance is, my knee points forward. But, if you think about the angle of the way that your body's going to rotate when you do front crane, as the person comes in with a punch, as I lift my foot, it's almost like I'm sort of moving off to the side. They're going to go beside me. And so if I point my knee straight forward, I'm actually pointing myself past them. And then, in order to do the stepping stool kick, I have to kick across my body to aim where they are. And so what I want to think about in my front crane stance is that I lift my knee and I point it at the person. Okay? And so what that's going to mean is when I go to this side, my stance kind of points this way. And when I go to the other side, when I go to my right side, the stance kind of points this way. So my knee points in towards the middle. Okay? With side crane, it's opposite. My knee is going to point to the outside. So when I go in this direction, my knee is going to come up, and it's pointed sort of at a 45. And as I go in this direction, my knee is going to come up. My knee's pointed kind of at a 45. Now what that means is the person that's attacking is beside me. They are to the side. Whereas with the front crane, the person that's attacking me, they're in front of me. And so if you have trouble keeping straight the front crane stance or the side crane stance, now that you're learning your side crane technique, that's an important little detail to kind of keep in your pocket, and that'll help you keep it straight in all kinds of stuff moving forward, okay? Because these stances aren't going away. Now for side crane, we're going to start on more stance. Let's start facing this way. Then we're going to flip it the other direction, and then I'm going to face towards you guys at the end. So I start from my horse stance. I've got my hands in elbow position. As the punch comes in, my right hand is going to circle and block down. My left hand is going to circle up, okay? And the hand that's blocking down comes inside the hand that's going up. So this hand is the hand that's blocking. And I don't want to think about pushing down on the punch and getting stuck on the person. What I want to think about is the person's going to punch at me, and I'm going to sort of slide into this empty space right over here, and the shape of my arm and the shape of my block is going to keep their punch and their energy going in this direction. All right? It's a little bit like opening the door for a guest. Or even a little bit like in the very old cartoons, there would be like one character is behind a door and they're holding it closed and the other character is trying to knock it down, so then they back up and they run really, really fast at the door, and then all of a sudden the person just opens the door and they just like go crashing into a wall and through furniture and stuff like that. That's much more how we want the crane to operate. I want them to keep however much energy they're bringing forward, I want them to keep as much of it as possible. It's just not going to be pointed at me. Okay? So, they come in. I'm going to come up to my side crane stance at the same time that left hand comes up. Now, I land across the front of their stance, and I'm going to do a crane wing strike with my left hand. Now, depending on the height of the person, you got to hit something that's going to make sense. All right? And so a lot of times I think about kind of striking in to the back of the neck, but if their shoulder's in your way, or if they're really, really tall, that may not make a lot of sense. You may have to do something else. Okay? Now, striking into the spine can be a really effective thing, but if the person is super big, it's very difficult to have that. Okay? Even if you crank it with a lot of power, do enough damage to them that it really matter. Okay? So this strike is going to knock them off balance, and as you practice this with different sized people, be really mindful of, okay, where would I aim this? When we do it in the air, we're going to think about hitting into the neck. When you do it on a person, well, they might not be your height. They may be a lot taller, they may be a little bit shorter, they may be a lot shorter. It just sort of depends. And so you need that strike to get delivered somewhere that makes sense. I don't want to miss them. And I also don't want to like smack them across the shoulder blades, because that's only going to make somebody angry. It's not going to help me protect myself. So person comes in, I go up to my side crane stance, laying down in the dragon, crane wing. And then I'm going to take this little step with this foot to turn it in that direction. And I do a crane wing with the other hand, and that's going to go into the neck from the opposite direction. Okay? So again, side crane. We go up to the side crane stance, land crane wing, step, crane wing. Now a lot of times I call this step a duck step. And the reason is because if you do a bunch of these in a row, it looks like you're waddling like a duck. So if I do a bunch of them fast, okay, it's just a silly way to walk. In side crane, we don't want to half moon through to the next stance, because their leg would be in the way. It makes it really hard to do the next part of the technique with power, because they're obstructing us in a way where they're strong and we're not very powerful. So we take this foot and we just sort of take that little step, and that's going to allow this crane wing to have a whole bunch of juice behind it. Now let's flip this way. So I come up to my side crane stance, I land, I do my crane wing, I take my duck step, I do my crane wing, and that's it. Let's do one more. Come up to your side crane stance, land crane wing, step, crane wing, done. All right, I'm going to do side crane facing you guys now. And this is so that we can work on this one last detail. So what I want you to do is take your feet, put them together, stick your arms out, and I want you to sort of pretend almost like you're a tree and you got these branches sticking out. Okay? Now, when we do punches and strikes and things like that from on guard or from a horse stance, we drive through our feet so that the hip rotates, the shoulder rotates, the hand goes out with power. Okay? Boom, 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 boom. And we're using the muscles in our core a certain way. Okay? Side crane, I want you to pick up this skill. Okay? And I'm going to deliver power in my hand strike without moving through elbow position to throw that power. I'm going to connect my shoulders together, okay, with my arms across and my elbows down, okay, and I'm going to rotate my spine. Boom, boom. And now this doesn't seem like much, but if you get a chance to stand, even just like this, and you turn and thump something, and then you turn back and thump something, right? So however much you weigh, if you divide that in half, that's the amount of weight that's swinging forward when you turn this way. Okay? And so however much you weigh, you divide that in half. If you imagine a hammer that weighed that much being swung into something, okay? That hammer, like it wouldn't take all that much for that hammer to be very, very effective. Like I wouldn't want somebody to take a hammer that weighs half of my body weight and just gently swing it into my knee. There's not a direction that my knee wants that to happen, and I definitely don't want it to take place. Now, side crane, that's how we're going to deliver the strikes. It's rotating from the spine through the feet instead of pushing and pulling from elbow position. So it's a different kind of power. It takes a little bit to get used to. So we start from a horse stance. Now I'm going to flip this left-right again. So for me, I'm going to be backwards so that hopefully you can look at me and I will look and I will operate like I'm a mirror. Okay? So I come up to the side crane stance, whoop, land down in the dragon stance, crane wing, duck step, crane, boom. And sort of moving through a dragon stance with both legs. So again, side crane stance, crane wing, step, crane. So work on that one, and we're going to be on the side snake. Okay, for side snake, we're going to do a fall to the side. And now falling snake, you got a white belt, we worked on the back fall. Side snake, the really important thing is developing your skill with the side fall. So if you haven't gone back and done the rolling, falling purple belt video yet, it's worth kind of going through that a little bit, because there are lots of different ways to fall. There's lots of different ways about thinking about getting to the ground and dealing with the ground. One of the things that we want to avoid doing is being rigid and stiff, because when you fall, if you're stiff, those are the ways that your body can take a lot more pounding. It's the ways you end up taking a lot more kinetic energy versus if you're able to kind of melt into the ground and be soft. Okay? So, side snake, if I'm facing you, remember I'm a mirror, so I'm going to be right, left flipped. I'm going to do my best to do that for you. I'm going to fall to this side. So that should be your right side. Okay? So make sure you've got enough space. Clear that zone. You're not going to need a whole lot of space in this direction, but you are going to need space in this direction. So I'm going to move over here just a tiny bit. Now, this foot is going to move through a cross stance. Okay? And so I let this foot pivot just a little bit so my knees don't walk together, and I cross in front. And now I don't want to go face first into the ground. What I want to be able to do is melt into the ground. Okay? So I'm not reaching out for the ground. I'm going to accept the ground. Okay? So, I cross, melt, lead. And the very first thing I'm going to do from here is a side kick is going to drive out. So the side kick goes out towards the attacker's front knee. Now at the same time that this goes out, I'm going to pull this underneath me. This can be kind of difficult to break down, but I'm going to do my best for you guys. So, cross, reach, and now as the side kick goes out, that arm tucks underneath. That's a side thrust kick. I'm driving out towards the person's knee. From there, I go right from that kick, boom. If you practice kicking stuff from down here, you're going to find really quickly, as soon as you hit something, you get this return, okay? It's like when you throw a rubber ball at the wall, it's going to hit, it bounces off, it gets this return. So we're going to take the return from the kick as you start to feel it, and I'm going to turn that return into the roundhouse kick into their other leg. So I go side kick to the front knee, roundhouse kick to the back knee. Boom, boom. And from there, I'm going to rotate my body around to do the final kick and side snake. Let's start this from the fall. So I move through my cross stance, melt down to the floor, boom, drive out the side kick into the knee. If I'm a little bit low, it's not the end of the world. Across to the other knee, and then I go to this knee on the ground to put both my hands down to do a spinning back kick up to the person's solar plexus. Now from there, I could do a forward roll forward, or I just pull my leg in like we did for falling snake. So again, line of 6, there we go. Cross, fall, mount, side kick, roundhouse kick, to my knee, both hands on the ground, spinning back kick, pull the leg up, and I'm in a fighting stance ready to go. Now, a lot of people struggle with side snake at first, not because the technique itself is very difficult, but because the fall is a little awkward, and it forces us to learn how to fall in a way that makes people really uncomfortable. So make sure, go back to that falling video for purple belt, and we're going to break down the side fall in that video, and that should help if you're having trouble with your side fall. All right, it'll give you different ways to practice so that you can get a little less tight about doing your side fall. See, if I take my side snake and I don't do the fall, I'm going to save this. This is going to be our after credits thing. And so, in order to find the super secret dragon technique that exists at Blue Belt, you're going to have to watch all the way to the end. Sorry. On piercing dragon. So, for piercing dragon, we've got a couple of things that are, it's the opposite of this other technique. So piercing dragon is giving you this practice of something that another technique already did the opposite version of. And so whipping dragon, I went this way to my dragon stance, into the dragon hook. Piercing dragon, I'm going to go the opposite way. And so remember, I'm facing you, so I've got my right and left hands flipped. So I'm going to punch with my right hand, but for you, it should be your left hand. So I'm going to go this way. That means you should be going to your right, okay? So, dragon stance, and I'm going to do a front two-knuckle punch out to the solar plexus at the same time that I'm shifting. So this goes out and drills forward as I shift into my dragon stance. In order to make that work, I can't pick up this foot and step. When you walk, you're not picking up your foot and stepping. That's how you go upstairs, okay? When you walk, one foot is pushing into the ground to reach the other leg forward. Then that leg takes the ground, accepts it, takes your weight, pulls the other leg to it, and pushes into the ground for you to go forward. You'll notice in boxing that when a boxer goes onto their toe, they push their right toe into the ground, ball and foot, and it allows them to go left. You'll see athletes, in order to go one direction, they push hard with the opposite leg. So I push hard with this leg to go this way. I push hard with this leg to go that way. Piercing dragon, you're going to do that exact same thing, and it's kind of important to do it in whipping dragon. It's critically important to do it in piercing dragon. So if you aren't doing this correctly in whipping dragon, you can still do a pretty good whipping dragon. It won't necessarily be perfect, but you can do a whipping dragon that will work as a technique that will work in application. Piercing dragon, if you don't get this, okay, or I should say, until you get this, your punch is not going to be able to be effective. So I start from my horse stance. I'm going to shift to my dragon stance. So what I actually do is push through the heel on this foot so that my weight can kick out to the dragon stance over here. At the same time that that happens, I'm going to drive this front two-knuckle punch out and forward into the solar plexus. Because what I want to have happen is I'm going to get that hip rotation into this punch. And even though this looks like it's the weak line of my stance, if I have my weight arranged correctly, my line is actually really strong. It's got a lot of stability. So I'll be able to hit somebody in the solar plexus, even if they're really big, and I'm not going to just bounce off of them like throwing a marble at a truck. So I shift over to that dragon stance, the punch goes out, solar plexus. Now, inside crane, we change direction by doing that duck step. In piercing dragon, we're going to move through our half moon through our dragon stance. So that leg that I just pushed with is now going to draw in and out, and then I'm going to whip forward, piercing into the neck with two inverted spear hands. So this is our spear hand. And if a strike has inverted in the name, that means you flip it over. Ready? Piercing dragon. Dragon stance, front two knuckle punch. Boom. Half moon through. Inverted spear hand to the neck, and I'm in another dragon stance. Ready again? Dragon stance, front two knuckle. Boom. Move through. Pierce. That is your piercing dragon. Ah, you stayed for the super secret dragon technique at Blue Button. So if we take side snake and we remove the side fall, then this just becomes a technique where we've got 3 kicks that happen pretty quickly to the inside of the person's stance. So as they come in and they deliver the punch, I'm going to move off the line of the attack, do my kicks, and then the technique is over. So let's start this facing this way. Now, the first 2 kicks happen with your left leg, and you're going to kind of move through a dragon stance to do it. So as they come toward me, I sort of move through a dragon stance. It's a little bit like starting 7 combination from purple belt. Move through that dragon stance. My left leg is going to do a side kick out towards the person's front knee. Boom. I go right from there to a roundhouse kick to the person's back knee and land across so that now I'm standing in front of them, or my leg is planted in front of them on their weak line to deliver this spinning back kick up to the solar plexus, cross, cover. So ready again? Start with my horse, move through a dragon stance. You're going to do the same beginning of 7 combination, but instead of going to your left, you go to your right. Side kick, roundhouse kick, spinning back kick, cross cover. So facing you, now this time I'm going to be the mirror. So I'm going to flip all my kicks. So you're going to move through your dragon stance, and it should be your left leg kicking. So my foot comes up, I do the side kick out, roundhouse kick across, spinning back kick, boom, land, and cover on guard. Now you can call this side dragon if you want to, or you can call it flying snake, because all a dragon really is a snake that learned how to fly. So, any of your snake techniques where you fall, if you take out the fall, most of the time you can modify it, and sometimes it doesn't take any modification at all. Like this one, we added a little dragon stance at the beginning, and all of a sudden it went from being a snake technique that is very clearly a snake technique into a dragon technique that is very clearly a dragon technique. So congratulations, you collected a piece of the secret menu. I'll see you again soon.